next guest is something of a comedy institution, a founding member of the classic British comedy series The Goodies. Please welcome Mr. Tim Brooke-Taylor. Tim, we were talking about airline horror stories. Have you ever experienced one?
It's not so much horror. It's the first time I flew from Melbourne up to Tokyo, and it's the first time I went on, as we used to call it, quaint arse. And I realised why the name came about.
Yep.
And they are very helpful men, these flight attendants.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I want one as my mother. And they really were brilliant. They actually looked out. They cared what you did rather than made you feel extremely small and the plane was going to crash.
Yes.
Because most of them say, oh, are you having a good flight? Good. And then they talk about blowing whistles and you think, no, not anymore.
You spoiled it.
I'm spoiling now because blowing a whistle isn't going to keep me up in the air.
No.
And you start to think about it.
Alitalia, this is a weird one. When the Alitalia planes land, everybody on board applauds. Like you're going, what am I missing? You know,
Yes.
Is that not a normal
I
occurrence?
think that's quite good though.
What? Why?
Well, because it's a miracle that
No,
you fly and
it's-
you stay up in the air, and it's a miracle
Yes,
that
but
you
we
come
don't
down
like to be
again.
reminded of that. That's the difference. What we want is, oh, that's normal.
Do you remember when you first used to come into Australia? Oh, not years ago, not the first fleet. But
Are you talking about me personally?
yeah, no, I'm having a bad night.
Yes, no.
But they had those blokes with the spray can.
Yes,
they'd
they
have the
still
short.
do it.
G'day, here you go.
Oh,
Might
did
be
you
a
get
second.
sprayed?
I got it. Welcome to Australia. Yeah, they did it. And I can't believe that one spray down the whole line gets every bit of nastiness out of your luggage
And yes, it
socks.
does.
My socks, I cannot wash my socks. How can they do it with a spray suddenly? Welcome to Australia. Thank you very much.
I think it was just an airline joke. I don't think they actually did anything. But it was
No, I
just
agree with you.
for their own amusement. The Goodies ran, what, nine years?
No, in England we did 11 years.
11.
Yeah, and they haven't been shown there since '84, so I've been over here reliving my youth.
Because they were here.
Yeah, and they're still on here.
And I love it when
Yeah.
people come and say, you were in the Goodies. I was allowed to stay up till 5:30. And that was the parents' talk.
Yes.
In the UK, it was like here it was like a kids show,
Yeah.
and in the UK it was on at 10:30 at night.
That's
or
right,
something.
yeah. And we settled at 9, and what in England I get is I was allowed to stay up. Here, the great thing is, I met somebody today who said, my daughter used to think I was such a nice dad, I used to watch the Goodies with her. And then when I got older, I realised it was an adults programme, and he wanted to watch it. And that was only, I think it's a bit, I like to think, and I think it's one of the greatest show ever, is The Simpsons. It's a bit like that.
Yes.
Kids can watch it, but they don't understand half of
Yes,
it. you know.
absolutely.
And in England, we show that at 6, and so most adults haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, here in Australia, it was a double act. It was The Goodies followed by Doctor Who. One of the few shows that actually had crappier sets than your own. But it was a great. It was an absolute
I still don't
institution.
understand, because that police box was so small.
It was. How did they do that? How did they
That
do
is magic. That is
Magic
amazing.
of television.
Now,
Yeah.
did they applaud when that landed?
Yeah.
That's more impressive,
Landed
isn't
in
it?
Italy.
We're talking generations.
Can we have a tiny look at, I mean, where do you start from a show that ran 11 years? We just grabbed a tiny bit from, I think, one of your favourite episodes, the Ecky Thump episode of The Goodies. Just for those people who are sitting out there going, The Goodies? What are they? Have a look at this.
Why are they?
We grew up on that. You're probably mystified. Ever have The Goodies?
No, we didn't have the Goodies in the
Yes,
sense.
you did.
We did.
Yeah, we had a call from Steven Spielberg saying, would we be interested in doing a Goodies movie? Nanoseconds passed before we said yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, he was making 1941 at the time, and he realised comedy wasn't his bag. But you're right, it only went out on PBS in certain areas.
So you had what was it here in Australia? that you had?
Convention, a Goodies convention, which was great because it was set up by people for charity and it wasn't nobody's making money. And I came on the internet, as you do. You put your name in and think, oh, good, little me.
You had to look at some porn first, though, didn't you?
Don't you? And I have that stuff that you don't have. And up came and this beautiful fan club that comes up. A girl called Alison Dean does it in Australia. And suddenly there were pages and pages in a monthly magazine. And suddenly they're going to have a convention. And I said, seriously, can I come? And it's been great because we've had 300 people having a great time and reliving the jokes and making new ones.
Now, have you met her, the woman who started your website?
Alison Dean, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
She's here.
shake her.
She's here.
She's stalking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's good. No, she's a good girl.
You had a bit of a taste of pop stardom. I've seen a couple of times you on Top of the Pops.
Yes, Thank you.
Years ago
incidentally,
doing-
Here,
I remember seeing
me and
Wild
STS,
Thing.
just like that now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. We had. This was the really sad thing the other day. I was on a telethon thing in Melbourne, and I was sitting next to these very sweet girls, one 15. I didn't touch her.
Yes.
STS, and they'd just come back from England. They said they'd been 18. They were number 18 in the chart. I said, "Did you go on top of the pops?" And I said, "No, we couldn't." And I found myself saying, "Oh, we had 3 top 10 hits." And I thought, this is the saddest thing I've ever done. But we did, since you
It's
asked.
sort of hard not to, though, because the goodies sort of unwittingly did everything.
You did films, you did television, you did music.
We had and books and things, and it was great. And the great thing was it didn't matter, because if you're a pop star, you've got to do this, you've got an agent. And we would just say, as I did in that clip,
And because you were silly.
Yes.
You were silly.
No, we weren't. We were very intelligent young.
Oh, of course.
Did you come to...
That was just me.
No, we reckoned that all those girls loved us for
Yeah.
our bodies entirely. I like the way you look at me like that. You see, it's all come suddenly. It's reminded you of how sexy I am. Isn't it? It is.
I was desperately trying to forget.
No, don't.
Was it hard to end the series when you eventually did?
We were given the elbow. We would still be making them now. And what was great was that my son set up a live link with the other two on Sunday, and that was Saturday night. And that was really great. Suddenly there was Bill and Graham, and we were
again?
chatting again, and it was
Did
fantastic.
you come together in university?
Yeah, we were students together, and the review I was in. I mean, it was John Cleese and Graham Chapman, Eric Idle. We were students together.
Because Tom came through a little undergraduate thing that with him and a couple of
How
other
little?
kids.
Wasn't it as small as a
Yeah,
American
very
woman?
tiny.
Woman?
But, no, what he did was
About American woman's size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Only that was when they're lying on their backs.
yeah.
Hello! Working blue.
No, only in your mind.
Goody.
Yeah, let's not spoil the memory. Where to from now?
I'm
Tim?
going home now. I don't want to.
I don't mean like now, but I mean...
Am I coming
I'm
with
going
you?
to. Yes.
Or have I been reading the situation entirely
I think you've got it dead right.
Yeah, okay,
I
go
think
on.
you've got it dead right. And I want to talk about all sorts of serious things like Gallipoli.
Please.
Oh, please.
No, well, I kept reading the papers and think, what is the Prime Minister doing there? And then you've got to have the leader of the opposition. Then do you have the minority parties? And do you have all the different churches and all the different religions?
It's what the Queen actually does come in handy
Yeah,
for, does she not?
you do need a head of state that you get.
stand there.
Even if you don't want them, they're there and they go and do that
Yes.
job.
Well, Gallipoli was sort of your fault. I mean, not yours, but your country's. We could like turn on you in a very.
I think it was
nasty-
probably I wore a Union Jack waistcoat and it
You
was
did.
my fault.
You
I
did.
adored the Queen,
Yeah,
only
because of
carnally.
Because of that Queen thing that you had, that your character had.
That Queen thing.
Yeah, the Queen thing.
It's called loyalty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any sort of Republican grief from that, or is that not huge in Britain? Or
At the time, the royal family were genuinely unpopular. Nowadays, I think it's unfair what's thrown at them. I think Prince Charles is actually a great guy. He's a bright guy. He hunts and he has a silly voice, but he is a great guy.
points.
Yeah. And also, he was a great fan of the goodies.
Well,
So
that's-
that might have
that
something to do
helps,
with it.
the
that
main
helps.
thing.
And he was going to do one of the shows, and he had some idea actually because I met him. He had some ideas, and he said, "What if you got the Queen?" And she did a night, you know, when you knight somebody, and she cut you to pieces. I think that's a great
Thank you,
idea.
Prince Charles. We'll leave
That
it
must
there.
be embarrassing when Prince Charles comes up and starts quoting bits and you're going, oh, yes. Oh, exactly right.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Oh, I'm off now,
well, that's
dropped.
your lot. We're going to talk sport next. That's a
I'm
very
a-
serious
very
part of the show.
sport.
We'll see you out in the green room, and
Okay.
Kate can
Kate,
take
I'm
it
talking British
a
soccer.
little bit further. Please thank Tim Brooke-Taylor for joining us. And we will, in fact, be back with the very latest in sport with Steve Quartermain.